Hey, everybody, John Gums going live. First time this year for 2022. Excited to talk some wrestling tonight. Hoping to keep it about an hour for all you fans that come on tonight. We have been known to go anywhere from an hour to 2 to 3, but we're hoping less. Just try to keep it under control. Two great guests tonight. Women's coaches from South Dakota and North Dakota. We got Joel Martin down in Spearfish. We'll talk a lot. He's been around for many years, 25 plus years I've known him. And then we got Tony Fugleberg, who I spell his name wrong every once in a while. I put the E before the L sometimes, or the L before the E.
Everybody does.
But tried to find a picture of him, and all I could find him is hugging his athletes. So I just put one on the screen on the social media stuff. And so I know he's a lover, not a fighter. So he's a guy that gets out there and loves the sport. And then we got Bill down there, my right-hand man, who knows everything that's going on in the sport from college to you name it. So we're going to just start off, go right away. I am John Gums, and I'm going to have all you guys introduce yourselves. I am the owner and editor of Dakota Grappler. I've been doing stuff like this, promoting the sport since 1999, even before that. But when I started Dakota Grappler and just love the sport, like to give publicity to where it we deserve the most, wrestling. And so below us, Bill, let's introduce yourself.
Yeah, Bill Holtan, coming at you from Central North Dakota. I just am a big fan. I love the sport. Been around it for my entire life. Still coaching youth program, but been everything from a wrestler to a coach to a parent, wrestling parent. So, and mostly a fan.
Well, I tell you what, Bill knows a lot, and you guys will enjoy what he has to say. And then we got Joel up top, Spearfish. He is the head girls, or I want to say women's, I'm not the best way to say it, wrestling coach down there, and had such a successful year last year. Watched him at the state wrestling tournament. He was smiles ear to ear. He's got some very talented ladies. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Joel Martin. This will be my 26th season here in Spearfish. I've been in Spearfish since day one from graduating from college, and was the middle school head coach for 25 years. And we decided this year to separate our program out because, we just want to try to grow our numbers. And it's going pretty good so far. So this will be my talk with John a little bit there beforehand. This is my first head varsity gig. So which has been interesting so far, but I'm really excited to get the girls going. We actually start Monday, so we haven't started yet.
Well, I tell you what,
officially.
Now, how many girls do you have in your room right now?
We had our meeting the other day. I got 20 so far, and we've got 15 down in our middle school. So we're doing pretty good right now with girl numbers. So hopefully we can sustain that. And that was a big reason why we wanted to separate out. We figured we heard some things last year that girls, and I don't know, Tony, you might have heard these too. I think I might have even had conversation with you on this, but some of the girls weren't excited about not necessarily wrestling with boys because we told them they didn't have to, but they didn't want to be in the same room as boys. Yeah. So we thought we'd take that next step with separating that out, and I think it's probably going to be a good thing for us.
Okay, well, that sounds really good. And then we got Tony Fugleberg. I've known Tony for a long time too. I want you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Tony Fugleberg, Fargo Girls coach, first year head coach, starting a new program. Got all of the Fargo schools wrapped into one. And
so have you come up with a fancy name yet?
We're working on it. I put the girls in charge of it.
Okay, because I'd heard it's just Fargo Public, and I think you can do better.
As of right now, it's just the Fargo Public Girls Wrestling, and the girls are in charge of kind of picking that identity.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Well, tell me about your numbers right now, because you started practice. You're now 3 days in.
Yeah, a few days in. I've had right in that 20, 21, 22. So numbers are good sizes. I had quite a few more sign up, but I mean, you know how it goes. Same thing with the boys. You get all sorts of interest right away and then don't show up or don't stick it out or
get scared. You never know.
Yeah. Sign up because their friends talk them into it. And
So what's your approach when you had your meeting with your parents? That's how I wanted to start off your questioning. Because a lot of them are going to be new to the sport.
Yep. I'm still working on that. I'm looking at doing the parents meeting probably tail end of next week. I've had a few come in and had some conversations with them and just explain to them that it's new to them, but it's going to be pretty new to pretty much everyone else in the state too.
Still, yep.
Yep.
Okay. How about you, Bill? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Carrington Girls program? I know that you helped me get some of the information from Pastor Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of excitement. I think there's about 16 girls, not all in the room yet, because they are about half the teams.
Carrington hasn't had a girls program, even though it's been going. This is kind of their inaugural.
Correct. Season. Yeah. No. This is it's a brand new program. No program in the past, and actually no girls in the room. I mean, we aren't coming from some girls that were wrestling with the boys or anything in the past. We pretty much are right from scratch. So. But I will say, as soon as the program was announced last spring, we started having some open mats, with our pit crew kids after the pit crew kids. So there was no boys, just girls. And we were, really starting from zero and had great interest. We had girls that wrestled, we had practices, not all the time, but, just kind of got in the room in the spring. Had a couple, 2 or 3 that wrestled at state freestyle and Greco. We were pretty lucky to have Troy and Terry Steiner come and do a camp in Carrington this summer. We had about a dozen girls that were there. So it was really, there's a lot of good commitment there. Like I said, about half the team is on the volleyball team and they're in regionals. So they're not in the room yet, but there's I think, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 or 10, probably 10 in the room right now. And there's 6 or 7 that are playing volleyball. So, we got a little of that to deal with, I guess. And from what I've heard, practice has been going pretty good. I haven't been in the room or anything, but we had some preseason stuff going on where we had a couple girls that wrestled at the Big Buck Nationals over in Moorhead and got some experience and had some fun. So I've been coaching at some level for a really long time. I can tell you how long, but it's a really long time. And
you're not that old, Bill.
I feel like it. But it was it's probably the most enjoyable coaching that I've ever done. So I'm kind of jealous of what you guys are going to get to go through. And I know, Tony, you've been doing it for, a few years, just at Davies and with the North Dakota team. So it'll be fun to watch them develop. They learn fast. It's fun. It's great. I'm really excited to see how it comes about.
Well, I tell you what, I talked to Scotty Nolan a ton, and he's been around the boys programs forever, and he didn't know how to approach some things. But when it all said and done, 1 year of coaching, he said it was probably the most fun season he's ever had.
I agree.
And just because of the learning, the intensity, he said there was just a different emotion. It wasn't all just serious. He could, and he just loved it. It was coming out of retirement into something that he was really not so sure. And then he found out that, guess what? He fell in love with coaching that too. So I think that's a good sign for women's wrestling.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So Joel, I want to ask you a question. Now that you are going to be this head coach, how are you doing your practice plans? And how are you going to approach the beginning of the season? I know we've coached boys forever. How are you going to approach the girls and your practice plans and stuff?
Well, my assistant and I, Cody Powers is his name, and we've worked really well together over the years, and pretty excited that he's got some little girls. So when I asked him, he jumped all over it. He was like, yeah, I want to do this because, down the road, a type of guy you could hand it to, but we're out of the 20 we're going to have, 10 or 11 of them have all been wrestling. I've got about 10 or 11 experienced girls. So we're going to try to hit the road running as much as we can. We're obviously not going to try to leave girls in the dust, but we're going to we'll start with the basics, obviously, and just build from there. But and I think with the girls right now, you kind of have to. But I would say it's kind of I'd say between that middle school varsity level. If there was a level in between there, that's probably about where we'll be at with what we're going to teach and what we're going to throw at them, and that's kind of how we've been planning it so far.
Okay. How about you, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, for me, for the most part, it's all first-year kids. So, I mean, it's really is like doing a middle school program, keeping it super simple, the basics. I mean, even to the point of starting with just stance and moving around in a stance.
Mm-hmm.
It slows down a little bit for some of the girls with a little more experience, but they stick around afterwards and get a little harder work in. But yeah, I mean, it's basics.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys talked anything about getting girls to do freestyle wrestling?
Oh, I'm always doing it.
It's unfortunately, I wish we had what North Dakota had, Wyoming, Montana. South Dakota is just not a huge USA wrestling state, and we struggle with programs around here. I know we've tried before. Obviously, Taylor wrestles freestyle a lot. And we're trying to get our girls. My other senior, Mariah Kruski, wrestled a little bit. Rapid City has like an academy that they can go down to, but we kind of struggle with the freestyle end of it here. But yeah, I that's something I really would like to get going around this area because, as you guys know, that's what they're going to do in college. So they need to start getting that experience.
Mm-hmm. I think the opportunities are huge at the women's level at college as they're
Huge.
opening. You would not believe they're willing to give, talk about money or scholarships and stuff for people that are really interested in helping their programs out. University of Sioux Falls has sent out letters. I know that there's a lot of them starting up. Dakota Wesleyan, Minot State, Jamestown. These guys are top notch, wanting to get the wrestling going for the ladies.
Well, and there's new programs popping up every day too.
Every day. Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Big. I don't know if you see these here. There we go, Tony. Here's one for you. There we go. But there's comments all the time. Guys, feel free to make comments out there as you guys are watching. We got a few people on. People come back and watch this. And this is on YouTube, or if you're watching this on Facebook, either place, you can go back. It'll be archived. This is the 159th show.
Wow.
We've had everything on from Dan Gable to a ton of North Dakota coaches, South Dakota coaches, some history. It goes very deep. We got podcast people we could go into. Bill has got some top-notch guys on in the past. So there's a tons of things if you want to watch wrestling. We try to do this now that the wrestling season is starting, probably almost every Wednesday, and then some Sundays as it goes, as things pop up. We've had such a great year with, Bill and I were going to do a world show. We never did pretty much get to it because we had such a great worlds this year. And we'll get into all that. I do want to mention a few things I want to get into just on the topics tonight. So if I pass by this, I know we're already 15 minutes in the show. It'll be 1/4 the way over. But so growth in girls wrestling was one of the things. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you guys are doing your schedules for the girls programs. I also want to talk about, I already did practice plans. Some of the wrestling rule changes we'll talk about, and we'll just talk about flow of conversation and where you guys are headed with you guys. And so I tell you what, Bill, you got anything right away?
Yeah, no, I actually am pretty curious on, probably, Tony for sure. And Joe, I'd be curious how you guys are your schedules are working. I mean, I know that we're probably going to run into some challenges on trying to have dual meets and, where we're at there, but I would be very curious to know what your schedules are going to look like and how much, how many competitions you're hoping to have.
Right now, I'm sitting with 12 events. Going to the Rotary, doing the Rumble, most likely coming out to Lions. Got a few dual schedule. I got a duel with Legacy the night before Rotary. Home and home with Central Cass. What else? One with Grand Forks their co-op team. So, I mean, as far as tournaments, we knew what was out there for the most part and kind of knew where we wanted to go. As far as duels, I was waiting, see what kind of numbers other schools were going to have. So kind of been reaching out the last couple days to put some feelers out there, see who's got numbers to do a duel and kind of going from there.
I really like that you're given the opportunity for duels. I think that is huge. I have not heard of any in South Dakota. What can you tell us, Joel, about the duels?
Yeah, that's a kind of a big thing right now. That's been a little frustrating too. We're trying to get duels. I went pretty aggressive with my schedule just because I have the couple experienced girls. Had another one that ended up transferring on me, which was kind of a bummer. But most of the girls that wrestle for me, my big issue was trying to find some bigger girls, and I'm getting there. But we only have the 10 weight classes too, where that's a whole nother thing that I wish we could change. We tried to. I really like what North Dakota has. If I had that, I'd be really happy right now because all my girls are bunched down low, of course. But we actually got a girls like a quad at our place right before the Big Rapid City tournament, which that's cool. It's just girls only, so our girls are pretty excited about that. And basically, the rest of them are just kind of with the boys, and we'll see what we can do. We tried, but nobody really knows their numbers, so maybe we can get something lined up for the year. But we're going to be up in Bismarck at that tournament, the Lions tournament, and then we'll go to Rapids. Our December is pretty rough, pretty tough, I should say. And then after that weekend, we're going to the Northern Colorado Christmas tournament down in Greeley. We usually go to Madison, South Dakota, but it's literally the same amount of a drive. It's like 5.5 hours. So I thought, what the heck? Let's give it a run. And
Yeah.
And I thought we'd try. Like I said, with Taylor and Mariah and some of those girls, I'd like to get them some of that competition. And
well, tell us about your nationally ranked lady,
Taylor. Yeah, I don't know what more you can say about her. I mean, she's just a good kid. I mean, Tony has known her forever too. She always, when South Dakota didn't have any girls, she'd pair up with the North Dakota girls all the time. She's just a hard worker. She's basically in the room every day. She goes to the academy in Rapid, and when she's not there, she's in the room. Lifting weights. She's a world record-setting power lifter for her age group. And she's just, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better kid to help lead your program and get these girls to follow. She's I'll be honest with you, folk style is not her favorite season. She's freestyle. She loves freestyle. I mean, she says it all the time. She's like, I just love freestyle, and that's what's going to make her I'm going to say an elite college wrestler. I think she's going to do big things in college once she kind of gets that opportunity to go with those girls. Thank you, Terry Steiner. Appreciate it. But I mean, I think she's just beginning to see herself blossom, when she gets to that college level. And I mean, just a great kid to have. Like I said, I wish she was only a sophomore, but she's a senior and she's ready to go. So,
hey, congrats, Shannon. I know you guys are putting a good program there together
nice.
with the United. I think that's nice. No, every time you see, we got a little connection. Terry being nationally known, he pops on these shows, and if you want some exposure or anything that way, get a hold of Terry through here or anything else. I tell you what, he's super. Great guy. I would, do anything for Terry. And I think he'll do the same thing for women's sport. He always has. So him being on watching is a big thing, guys. Definitely.
Yeah. Terry's super easy to approach too. Super easy to talk to.
Definitely. So Bill, do you got questions for these guys? I'm really hoping that somebody would put together. Now I have some connections, but I was talking about a master schedule. I would like something kind of put together because there are people out there. My son's a senior this year. Next year, for sure, I'm going to travel wrestling weekends. I'm going to go out. I want to catch different places. So a master girls schedule would be really nice for even other people to know. I think people are searching, but if we kind of put this together, maybe people can make calls. I've got a half a dozen girls. Can we come to your tournament? I think there's still people out there trying to find this stuff.
Yeah.
I know
One thing.
Scotty's kind of working on it.
Who is?
Who is? Oh,
No.
Scotty is. Yeah, good.
Okay.
One thing I would throw out there, Tony, is that the Carrington tournament every year, the Al Larson, that's going to have a girls division, and we always have the night before we've got the Carrington duels, which are a handful of. It's always obviously been boys teams, good boys teams are on some really good duels, and they are doing some Carrington girls duels that weekend. There's going to be, I know Legacy's coming, and I think Lisbon. So Carrington, Lisbon, Legacy will be there, and I'm not the athletic director, but I would say there'd probably be room for another one if it was something that fit into your guys' schedule to come and have a duels on Friday night and tournament on Saturday. It'd be awesome to have you here. So be a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Somebody had mentioned that the North Dakota High School Activity Association does have a schedule, but it's pretty weak. I mean, it could be much better. I know that you look at the guys' schedules on there, it just, I know they're supposed to kind of submit some stuff, but it's never up to date good enough, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of this on the girls' side is real fluid because there is a as say like 3 weeks ago, I'm sure the numbers were still really way up in the air, but it's, there's no doubt it's an emergent sport, but it's exciting and it's, it's going to come along fast. So, are you seeing, Tony, in your room, are you going to be able to fill all the weight classes or come somewhere close? Or?
I'm going to be close. I'm thinking probably 12 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Carrington to me it looked like at one point probably was going to have them all. We actually probably a little short on the low end, which seemed like that surprised me a little bit. But
right, I'm kind of the same. I'm a little short on the low end, and then I'm short on the high end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's going to have to happen? Is there a parameters to be able to have regions for girls wrestling in South Dakota and North Dakota? Is there something?
Yeah, it's from what I've just heard, it's just going to be a strict numbers game. And I still don't know if they've talked. If they think the numbers are going to be up, then they'd probably push them in for South Dakota. Just schedule them the same weekend as our boys. But as of right now, we're not having regions. We're just doing like we did last year. And if you didn't know that, what it was, we just basically they took the top 16 wrestlers by like track wrestling criteria, what have you. So and then just seeded the top 10 out of that. So I mean, it's as far as I know, that's what they're going to do right now. But I would love to see a region. The only thing is if they do, like Western South Dakota, we didn't have a ton of wrestlers last year, so it almost wouldn't make sense to make a region out here. So they might even have to realign that. I'm not sure. I haven't really been told anything different. So I'd love to see a region, but till the numbers warranted, I understand why.
Mm-hmm. Have they mentioned anything for you, Tony?
Not that I've heard. I know there's been talk and trying to figure out how you divide it and all that, but I think you still got to sit and wait and see where the numbers hit and go from there.
So last year in North Dakota, did they eliminate any girls before they got to state, or
No, last year was everybody qualified. And the last I'd heard, it was going to be the same.
What was the largest bracket last year? Was there a 32 man bracket?
There was one, and it was
in that 120
one
range.
match the first round.
Okay, I was wondering about that because it's kind of interesting because I tell you what, we can mention this now. This is on the thing that next year it becomes a huge change in North Dakota Class B. Oh, it's 130. Thank you, Phoenix. Phoenix she knows it all. There we go. 130.
Send her a link. Let's get her on the show.
Right?
Yeah. Definitely. But I know that in Class B, there's going to be a huge change. They're going to go to 2 regions in Class B next year, and they divided the state really different in North Dakota, so that you basically are going to qualify 8 out of 2 large regions, and people weren't happy with the division. I'll tell you that's still a controversy there we can get into, but
that would have happened no matter how you divided it. So
yeah.
Yeah. No, Joel, tell me some of the other girls across the state that come to mind right away in South Dakota that is really, I know we can talk about the Cantons, Oda, but just bring up some individual girls that you have seen out there that you're really impressed with in South Dakota.
I'll toot a horn on my own girl, Mariah Kruski. She's been a solid wrestler. Actually, her and Taylor grew up wrestling in Lead, and she just committed to University of Sioux Falls, which was awesome. I was really happy for her to get that. Canton, and I will mention Canton because they have also another ranked girl, that Zoe Adam. She was down in Fargo this year, and man, she kind of shocked some people. And she's a Canada transfer. She came out of Canada last year, and of course, if you know Coach Ask down there in Canton, that guy turns people into animals. I mean, they're lucky to have him coaching those girls, and he's. I think they'll be right up there again this year. And then that the Laubach girl from Canton is really good. Her and Chloe or the Adam. I don't know if you're going to see many girls touch her from the state of South Dakota.
How about the Peer Girls?
The Peer Girls they're just solid. They just have a solid group of girls from top to bottom. And I don't think they lost anybody, so they'll have everybody back. In fact, I think they might even have a girl returning that was injured last year that was pretty good. And then Bon Holm, little Bon Holm has two really good girls too. Sorry, I'm forgetting the names, but the Hellman girl and the Reeb girl. Hellman was in Fargo this summer, and she was, I think, 13 seconds away from being an All-American and got taken down in the blood round. So, and she's actually the only one that took Taylor for 3 periods last year. So, she's just a solid, good, strong wrestler. There's actually a girl out of Lee Deadwood, Trinity Zopp, that's coming back, and she's only sophomore. She's a state champ. There's some strong wrestlers in the state, and I'll be surprised after this year, how many of them hopefully I'll be going to school and wrestle. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think during the year. Now, it's a good question. Kathy Butler says here, it would be nice if schools could pick up some other girls and add them to dual teams for some smaller schools. Now, I know that schools have issues with this and stuff and combining teams, but I would think just for matches, if nothing else, combining schools for kind of a dual mix and match, and just make it fun, kind of put them on a yellow team, a blue team, and whatever, and just have a mix of, but I'm not sure how that would work. I think that'd be, you know what I mean? Just to get a more experience, mat time. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just to get the opportunity.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think anything you do to get them more matches and get them. Well, I obviously think that the team aspect of the sport is huge, and the chance. We see it a lot of these girls. They haven't had as many chances to cheer on teammates in wrestling matches as the boys have, or as they, because there's been a few of them, right? They're wrestling in a lot of tournaments, and if you've ever watched girls in any sports, boy, they get the team's huge, right? You watch them in volleyball, or you watch them in basketball if they choose to play that game, I guess, and the more options you can get them to to be part of something, I think is big.
Yeah. I did something not too long ago, about a couple of weeks ago, called the Elite 8 in South Dakota. And it was a little controversial for some of the wrestlers. I kind of put them in a little bit different order. In North Dakota too, I had asked a couple coaches to rank them. And then I kind of, how could you say, I kind of matched and averaged them. And it was kind of funny, Tony. I had a couple of the Bismarck girls saying, oh, and I guarantee it was Tony that put me down a couple. And you might know who it is, one of the Century girls.
No, got a pretty good idea.
Yeah, Baron takes care of her, so he goes, oh no, I think you deserve it so you could work harder. But if you haven't seen that, guys, out on Dakota Grappler on my website, I did an Elite 8 for the girls in South Dakota and North Dakota. I'm going to update that probably once a month for each of the different both boys and girls, and just keep it going. And it's for fun, entertainment. And if you guys have any suggestions, I know I looked at some other girls across the state of South Dakota. There's some smaller schools. I always get a kick out of some of the smaller schools that half their team is boys and half are girls right now. like Sully Buttes, for an example. They've got a couple of young ladies that have done phenomenal. They're really small, and they've been a couple times state placers down there. You start talking about some of them, like Britain has got some, and you start going to the different schools. What do you see, Tony? Why don't you actually, Tony? I missed you on that. Why don't you throw a few girls' names out there?
Oh, I mean, across the state, it's tough for me to not talk about girls that I feel like are mine because I work with them all spring and summer. I mean, Phoenix Linseth and Alyssa Johnson are coming off of All-American Summers at Nationals, part of a trophy bringing back dual team from junior duels. Lindsay Anderson from West Fargo is always fun to watch, works her butt off. Ray at Century, always working hard. The one that's going to be really fun to watch is going to be Julia Rajo.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I just had a great tournament in Denver last weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just an 8th grader. She's gonna be tough to beat. She's gonna,
Yes,
but
she
she got
is.
beat a few times last year. You know, they find competition. She went down to Rapid, I think, got beat down there last year, and somewhere else. But you know, what's interesting,
we got her a couple of times in Bismarck, and then actually in Rapid, she got a little revenge on us. So,
okay.
Yep.
But yeah, she's gonna be tough.
Yes, very tough.
She's always been tough. I mean, she was making the boys teams all the way coming up, and so as she, how can you say, her technique gets a little bit better and stuff, because she's always just kind of go. I think she's going to be hard to stop. I think she's, as the door opens for her, it's going to be very bright. Definitely. So let's talk a little bit beyond here. Let's talk a little college wrestling first here. I know we could talk boys and stuff, but as the show, we're half into this, I want to talk a little college and then a little international with just women to start. Okay. So what do you know about the South Dakota women's teams coming up right now, Joel? Do you know anything?
No, not really. I know with Dakota Wesleyan, I know I think they're struggling to find some girls. I really haven't had a lot of contact with that coach yet. I've talked with Coach Brian out of USF quite a bit. You know, he's been after both our seniors, and you know, I know he's pretty excited. I know he's still kind of looking for an assistant. But I have a lot of confidence in Toby. I think he's doing some right steps down there. And, you know, I think that's going to really take off and at that D2 level. And he's, you know, Sioux Falls really sits in a nice place there where you're not far from Minneapolis, Omaha, Chicago even. And, you know, there's a lot of hotbed, right? Iowa, sorry. Yeah. The obvious state. But, you know, he's sitting in a good spot. So I think, I really see the USF probably taking off here in the next couple of years once they kind of get rolling next fall. So excited to see that in our own state, and you know, hopefully we can get a nice little powerhouse there we can send our girls to through the state. That'd be awesome.
Yep. And somebody right here is just coming in. It says Dakota Wesleyan has 2 girls of right now. Mandy Sargent of Rapid City Central. I'm not sure on the other. I did see the name of the other girl too the other day.
Hi, Mariah.
Yeah. And then I know that Ray just went down to University of Sioux Falls just this last weekend and did a little visit. So yeah, I think their numbers will come up really quick.
Yeah. In fact, I just saw he just posted today. I think he had 2 or 3 signings, and one of them was a girl out of Brookings. I apologize, I can't remember her name right offhand. I think she was a 54-pounder. Got 3rd place last year, 3rd or 4th, and okay. She signed with USF, and I think he had another girl out of Iowa that signed. And then, of course, Mariah, our 6-pounder, has committed to them as well. So,
okay, definitely. And then North Dakota, we got 2 new women's coaches, one at Minot and one at Jamestown. In fact, I'll be reaching out to them to get them on very soon. I know the Jamestown coach; they love her. I've talked to several people. She's got a big background. She's placed in the boys' state tournaments when she went through. She is national champion. She wore lots of credentials, and so it's very good. No, Bill, what do you know?
Boy, I don't know enough, to be honest with you. I know that I'm excited to see how the Jamestown women's program, you know, develops this year. I don't know much about what's going on in Minot. I do plan on trying to get down to Jamestown. I did see some of the girls around there this weekend. I was down at the Jimmy Open, and so I love that division. I think it's fun to watch. It's probably one of my very favorite events of the year is the NAI National in Jamestown that's been there the last few years, and I know it's going to be there for a couple more years at least. So I try to follow them as much as I can, but they haven't started wrestling yet. You look at the roster a little bit and you see what's going on. And obviously the one that really does excite me is the Sioux Falls program getting started. That's kind of hopefully the kicking off point for NSIC schools coming into the fold on the women's program. And then I don't think it'll take very long. I know Mary would be all on board as soon as a few other teams get involved. And of course, I hope Northern and I know I've had a little discussion with Mankato State coach and I think they would could really blow up in the NSIC as time goes on. It's just a matter of getting started, and I think that's the opportunity that we get to see programs like Duluth come back. That's the way that the men's program that we've lost over the years could find their way back. So
I tell you what,
I'm excited to see it.
State would be a perfect place.
Oh, absolutely.
Like teachers college. I definitely think so. Definitely.
I will say if whether it's Valley City or Mayville or Dickinson or any of these other NIA schools, if they aren't looking at what's happening at the University of Jamestown, they're missing out. It's from top to bottom. The sports programs are popping. Facilities are growing. It brings enrollment into the classroom. A lot of pride there. You can see it when you're on the campus. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens there, and I hope it bleeds over into some of these other smaller colleges.
Okay, got one of our wrestlers here in North Dakota asking you a question, Coach.
I know exactly who that is. That's York Griebel. I figured he'd chime in here tonight. If you didn't know, I'm from Valley City, North Dakota, originally North Dakota boy, and that's how I got introduced to Mr. Gums here. He was there for a year doing I can't remember if it was a graduate assistant or was your assistant coach for the wrestling team, and
grad assistant there when they dropped the wrestling program.
Oh, I know, doggone it. And then went to college there, and I didn't wrestle in college, but and I've been in Spearfish ever since. So
it's amazing. 1995-ish.
95, 96, I think is what it was. Yep.
It's amazing how that comes about.
Exactly.
It is. No, Valley City has done well. I tell you what, they will be in the mix again. They'll have a nice team for the East region. I'm hoping they can develop a girls team really well at the high school level there. I haven't heard numbers there. I think there's opportunities everywhere.
Did they have a state champ last year, Valley City? The girls was it, or close to it, maybe? I don't know.
Close to. I talked with one of the assistant coaches today, and they're sitting right around 7.
Oh, that's good.
We had at our camp this summer in Carrington, we had a girl that wrestles for Valley City that was there. She's actually she goes to school at Barnes County North and co-ops in Valley City, and she's probably the one. She is she's special. I mean, she really is. She's just a good kid, selfless, hard worker, learns quick, fun to watch. I was happy to watch her play a little volleyball also this fall. So yeah, it was I'm excited to kind of watch how she develops through the years.
Okay. Well, Bill, this is where you're going to shine. Let's tell us about some of the international stuff for the women. And I'm kind of putting you on the spot here a little bit, but I've been such a huge fan, and every time something comes on, there's Terry in the background, and our women's program internationally for the United States is top notch.
Hey, they're really close to catching Japan. I mean, they had a great senior women's world tournament. Obviously, they had one athlete this year, Amita Lure, that won a junior worlds senior worlds, and then topped it off with the U23 world titles. Talk about exciting. I mean, she's fun to watch. I had a little, yeah, I understand that, Coach. I knew it as soon as I said it. I thought it was still called Mankato State Teachers College, and I wasn't sure if that was right or not. So thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. So yeah, it was a fun year for the USA women at really at every level. And I think, obviously Terry's doing a great job. The younger youth type coaches have really pushed the age level girls up even higher. So I know that, Terry's goal is to be the number one in the world, and they're really close. They're Japan's tough to catch. But he's close, and I think he'll get him. So it's fun to watch, and we saw, I mentioned that NAIA national tournament that was in Jamestown. There was a couple girls that wrestled in that tournament here, also on the world teams. So if you're anywhere in the area, it's a fun place to be. Yeah, besides that, I guess the other thing that will be coming up is we'll have the World Cup will be in Iowa City. Actually, I think it'll be in Coralville. I better to say that, or Coach Murkowski will straighten me out. But that'll be coming up, and I think this will be the first time that the women and the men will be at the same event, and it's in December. I don't remember the exact date, but that will be, some of the top teams around the world coming into, for dual meets, both men and women. So if someone can get to that, I would surely recommend it. Will be probably readily available, on Flow or, something like that. So and as far as, the other, we are kind of at the beginning of the cycle, right? Going into the next Olympic cycle. So it's just going to get better. A couple of the women, kind of sat out this year and had things going on. So that team just keeps getting better all the time.
Well, I'm thinking of a couple of different ones. I really paid a close attention to Hildebrandt this last year. I thought she developed
Sarah's awesome. Well, if she gets a takedown, the matches are over. She's got the best leg lace, I think, in freestyle wrestling, as far as in the United States. I mean, she just gets on top, and it's just over. She only needs to get one. And I think I probably had that conversation with Terry when he was here, and we talked about it. And he's, if she just if she gets the one takedown, boy, she can end a match in a hurry.
Yep. And then is it Parrish that's next on the lineup, I think?
Yeah.
Yep. And I've really watched her. She gets really physical. That's the same weight class as Rana Heaton, of course. And so that's always one that I pay close attention to. That's a South Dakota girl.
Yeah.
And then you have Winchester.
Yeah, Jakara.
I used to know these all.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And of course, then you got Helen. And
yep.
And then the other one, gosh, the weight classes better than I do. After that, I know there's Miracle in there. There's Nettie. There's, of course, Mensa Stock. There's who else? Just so
the Amita Lore girl.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. She's up there now. Yeah. I mean, you got girls, that are knocking on the door, the Blades sisters.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's really fun to follow. And to me, it's as fun to follow as the men. And we got the best men's team in the world.
Ooh, I like this. What Terry says. Lineups coming out next week.
Yeah, so that'll be for the World Cup. So we'll be watching for that. We'll talk about it when we see it.
Yep, I tell you what.
Yeah.
Yep, and there's Randy.
He still is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Bill. I tell you what. I don't think I'd wrestle with Tony very often. I used to think I was tough. I don't know about that anymore. No. So let's talk about got several other things. Okay. Oh, are there any major rule changes? I know in the guys. Is there anything in the girls?
I think they're the same. I don't think
they are too.
I don't think
there's any difference.
they do different things for boys and girls as far as I know. I'm kind of glad they went away with the hair thing because girls' hair gets pretty crazy. So I'm kind of glad that they don't all have to
Right.
pack it in there and they just let them flow with it. And I think that was actually one of the best rule changes that we've made in the sport with the hair thing. So I mean, I really like that now coaching with the girls. Although now I have to remember to bring along, hair ties in my backpack. So that's well, that's the big thing. Actually, I try to tell my girls every match to look at their wrists because you'd be surprised how many of them leave on the wrists, and then some refs will call it and some won't. Some will just be like, take it off, and depends on the match. If I need a point or not, I'll point it out to them and just say, hey, that's a point. But yeah, that's been I like that rule that they changed that.
Well, I'm not so sure about the men's rule about facial hair yet for high school.
True, I agree.
my boy, who's just starting to get a little peach fuzz, is trying to grow something. I don't know. He's not going to be nice, clean, and shaved. I don't know, but it's interesting. They don't have to worry about shaving this year. So
that would have been nice.
Yeah,
that would have been nice.
To a guy that had a full beard in high school would have been Tony. Yeah, yeah, could be interesting because I know it's really picky and all the other stuff. I kind of like having the hair cut a little bit, but it was all last year. It doesn't bother me that somebody else has long hair. I just liked my wrestlers to look good myself, that it was as a coach. And so I always thought that made a difference, but it doesn't when it comes to wrestling. It's if you can wrestle, you can wrestle.
Yep.
Definitely.
And I think most of the girls anyways, the majority of them will braid their hair, if they get tired of it. So, that's kind of a cool thing too, as I'm sure Tony can, agree that, that's a nice bonding thing for the girls too. They'll all be sitting there braiding each other's hair before a match. And I think it's just awesome when they do that. It's just a nice, okay, I'm going to do yours now. Or I have the one girl that does everybody's and then nobody does hers, but it's, but yeah, I think that's an awesome thing too, for the girls.
Different types of team bonding. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Bill, it's up to you to fire away.
Yeah, I guess the only thing we could talk about that we haven't touched is the college season has started. We've had kind of a full weekend last weekend of some opens. We had obviously the big duel. NDSU went down and beat Nebraska at Nebraska on Jordan Burroughs night. Bison looked tough. They came out to wrestle, scrapping at every weight class. I watched that heavyweight Juan Mora wrestle last year at the Bison Open. Was really impressed, and he looked good. They fought hard all the way through. Made it into the rankings. I think they came out today. They ranked number 19. First time they've been ranked on the top 20 in several years. So it was good to see. On top of that, you had the Jimmy Open. I was down there. We had a pretty good contingent of former North Dakota wrestlers in the tournament, and South Dakota. Six freshmen there from Northern State, and I would say most of the six were South Dakota high school wrestlers. So, that was fun to watch. Minot had their whole squad there. Moorhead had their whole squad there, and they actually were in town the night before and dueled the Jimmies. And actually, the Jimmies had a full contingent there, and they looked pretty good. They were very close to winning that duel over Moorhead on Friday night. There was a couple matches that I was not at the duel. I was told about it the next day. But a couple matches where Jamestown had guys ahead and ended up getting pinned, and they lost the duel by I think 9 maybe. So I mean it was a very competitive duel. So that says something about what Coach Zaleski is doing at Jamestown. I will say I was at Mandan. I was at Mandan for a football game Friday night. So Fargo Shanley. I got grandson plays there, and they did. It was a fun high school football game. So almost as fun as the one that we had at Shanley with Davies, Tony. It was just about like that.
Well, then you're gonna be in Fargo then.
So yeah, I will be in Fargo on Friday. So that'll be if we don't get blizzarded in and have to stay here forever. But anyway, yeah, it was a good weekend. We saw some good stuff on the other at the other D2 and D1 levels. Northern State went to Oklahoma, wrestled University of Central Oklahoma. Took a loss, but a lot of competitive matches. So that was. I mean, that's a way to start out the year. That's quite possibly one of the top 3 teams in the country. They also wrestled a junior college team. I cannot think of the name of it right now, but they won that duel. But yeah, it was good to see the competition right away. This weekend, Bison Open on Saturday. I believe the Gophers are coming with the full team. South Dakota State will be there. NDSU, of course, and then Mary will be there. Mary went down to the Rochester. I guess it's called the Yellow Jacket Open in Rochester. Had a good, pretty good tournament. So
I did see that our number 1 ranked wrestler from Mary did lose in the finals.
Good. Yeah.
Got manhandled.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was actually. I mean, it's a pretty good match. And the crazy thing is that's St. Cloud, and I'm not 100% sure that was going to be their starter. I mean, he may be now. I don't know, but yeah, that's the way it goes. That's college wrestling. There's not many easy outs.
Yeah, I was putting together. If you want to see that too, I do have as many as I could find. I tell you what, I spent about 2.5 hours searching through track and making sure I tried to get all the North Dakota and South Dakota.
You did, yeah,
great wrestlers job. And put them in there. And and I tell you what, the Tanafus wrestled also the Michigan Open.
Yeah, Central Michigan.
Yep, and I expected them actually to do
Michigan State Open. Yeah.
Yep, and I expected them to do a little bit better, but 1 and 2 and 2 and 2 out of the 2 Tanafus. I haven't heard much about that, but I'm just excited. I know there's a lot of guys still listed on those college rosters out there to see how they, kind of round things out. I know it's tough as freshmen sometimes, if you think of some of these new guys coming out, but I also paid attention to Ripplinger down in, he wrestled in a tournament.
Yeah, at Maryville. Yeah, Maryville Open. Yeah.
And he had taken 3rd, but he lost to one of his teammates.
Correct. Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting there. So you're always paying attention to those North Dakota and South Dakota wrestlers out there. Trying to think of anything else. No, there's just a lot coming up this next week. When I started looking, I started putting a schedule together. It's just starting to roll. I think the Bison Open is going to be a very big one I'll be watching.
Yeah.
They used to always have that early tournament, but now they have it later. It used to be before the Bison Open down in Sioux Falls. Used to do that one first down in Brookings or whatever.
The Dakota Open. That is actually next. Yeah. That is next Sunday.
That's correct. It's the following week.
Yep.
And so that'll be another good one to watch, as they brought in some very good teams this last year to that. I mean,
yeah, always a good tournament.
Usually Nebraska goes out of that DAC Open. I don't know if they still do since they moved the tournament, but they were there several years, the Nebraska team.
Yeah, I think they probably will. Yeah, I think they will. This weekend also at Dakota Wesleyan's got an open. To me, it's been one of the better opens in the region. You get St. Cloud State's there, Augie, Northern, Mary isn't there now because they're back at the Bison Open. But there's a lot of squads there too. So there's a lot of good chances to watch some really good wrestling in North Dakota and South Dakota before these high school kids get so busy that you can't get away and see anything else. So for fans, it's a great time to go out and kind of get primed up for the season.
Well, I tell you what, with all this snow, that's kind of my plan. If it doesn't snow too much, I'll be in Fargo watching the Century game. And Bill, I'll have to track you down. I'm guessing you'll
be there.
Okay, sounds good. And then maybe I'll stay overnight and stay for the Bison. That's Bison Open is usually the next best thing.
Yeah, actually, I don't know what's going to happen with the weather, but Northern State is supposed to wrestle Concordia on Thursday night in a duel at Concordia. So I'm not sure, what'll happen there. But yeah, I was kind of looking like I was going to have to drive
back and forth.
Fargo and back on Thursday night, Fargo and back on Friday night, and then probably go Saturday for the Buys It Open. But I may be doing something else Saturday now. So.
Okay. Well, we're sitting at that hour time. I said I was going to probably get to that point, but I always do this last thing called rapid fire questions. I know Tony's pretty much done this already, but Tony can answer again if he's got new questions. And so I am going to fire some questions at you. And I actually added a couple new ones, but I'm not sure if I'll bring them out yet tonight. And stuff. Some people of you has done this. So we're going to start out with this. Okay. Now, what is it like to be coached by you? If asked your wrestlers, Joel, first.
Oh boy, I guess I'm not sure. We like to try to keep things light and have fun. And we just like to have a big family group, and I like I said, I think our kids have a lot of fun with the sport.
Okay, Tony.
My two big rules: work hard, and have fun. I mean, give it your best effort constantly, and enjoy it while you're doing it.
Definitely. That's something I wish I could bring back too. And this is that perspective thing that I brought that Terry had also said before is, sometimes you don't see the trees while you're running and enjoying the run. The Troy Steiner talking about, he didn't even enjoy the run. It was just a great run today. You can see somebody saying that. I didn't enjoy it one bit. He said, yeah. Okay. So the next one, Gatorade or Powerade?
Gatorade.
Gatorade.
What color?
Orange.
Yep.
Very good. Popsicles, dilly bars.
Oh man, I gotta go with dilly bars.
Butterscotch dilly bars.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. The three characteristics that all wrestlers need to have.
I think the toughness, ability is in there, and then I'll even just step on. You just got to want to have fun. You got to enjoy it.
Okay.
Definitely the toughness. The big one for me is the mental toughness.
Okay. That could all be three, right there.
Exactly.
Okay. Now this is for you. Mama's boy or rebel?
Oh, mama's boy.
Personally?
Yep.
Absolutely mama's boy.
Yep.
Okay. Fast-paced or consistently slow?
Oh man, it depends on what day.
A happy medium.
I agree with that. I'll probably right in between there.
Okay. Are you a physical or mental athlete yourself?
I would say more of a mental.
Definitely physical.
Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Jeez,
Absolutely.
you guys are alike. Hey,
Scary.
The old
Followed
school.
closely by a good Easter dinner.
Okay. Now this is old school for you guys. Dan Gable or Cale Sanderson?
I got to go Dan Gable.
Yeah, we're both old enough.
Yep.
Okay. Favorite number?
13.
5.
Okay. Any reason? What's 13 for?
Everyone else says it's bad luck. I took it as good and I ran with it.
That's good.
Old baseball number. I've been coaching wrestling all these years, but I always say baseball is still my number one favorite. So.
Okay. Number 5. Best wrestler you ever wrestled?
Like in an actual match or
Practice too.
Or in practice.
Or could be drilling, could be practice.
in a match. Cain Velasquez.
Ooh.
No.
Wrestled him at Nationals one year. In just a workout camp type setting, Bruce Baumgartner.
Ah, that's awesome.
I can't name drop like that. So, boy, I'd probably say James Kizjan out of Devil's Lake back years ago. I wrestled him. I got popped in there because our 60-pounder got sick, so I got put in there, and I did take him down. I think I surprised him, and then about 5 seconds later, I was counting lights, and my eyes were turning black, so I was getting put out. So that'd probably be the one there.
Okay. Any habit you learned in wrestling that you still do today?
I probably, and I shouldn't do this all the time because sometimes I don't like it, but weigh myself most every morning.
Yep. I do that. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
I was never worried about a scale. For me, probably just out working and being more physical.
Okay. This is always a tough one for some people. Would you belong in the show Swamp People, Survivor, or The Voice?
Nobody wants to hear me sing. I can tell you that. I don't know. My wife loves Survivor, so I'm gonna go with Survivor.
Okay.
I like the challenge of Survivor, but probably Swamp People.
Okay. Cat, bird, or dog?
Dog.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep, dog. Yep.
Okay. If you could have been a fly on a wall in some other coach's room, whose wrestling room would you be spying on?
I'd probably have two of them. I'd probably say Bismarck High or Sturgis.
Okay.
1.5, and only half because I was in the room. Lynn 40 and Scott Nolan.
Okay. Awesome, guys. And then one last one. Maybe I lost it. I had a couple other ones up. It's on my other screen. Okay, so no, awesome show, guys. I tell you what, I wish you guys the best of luck. I've got we'll have so many more shows. Feel free to get a hold of me. I'll have you guys come on again. We just do this and have fun. And guys who are watching, feel free to ask questions. Send me stuff during the year if you have suggestions. It's one of the biggest things. That's pretty good. 10 out of 10. So many other things. We put these quotes up there. And it says heavy hands. Yep. But you learn so much. And I tell you what, I learned from every guest I've ever had on here. The personalities are always great. And it's a lifetime love for the sport that you just see in so many other people that, you know, a lot of times I thought it was just me, and I knew it was more people out there, but it brings an emotion to me that I just can't replace. I love it, guys. And I'm hoping you guys get the same experience that I have and lifelong lessons that are taught. And I know Bill feels the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last comments, anything from you, Bill? And then we'll let these two also finish it out.
You know what? All I'm going to say is, you know, I'm glad you guys are in the room and you're able to work with these young ladies this year. I just implore everybody out there, get more and more girls involved. I think Terry kind of said it the best. If we think that the values and the lessons that wrestling teaches are important, they're important for everybody. So I think as fun as we have coaching these girls and how we want to see them develop, I think what it can do for their life in the long term is tremendous. And it's hard you know, I'm talking to first year girls, say last spring, and I can't tell them, you know, hey, there's a chance you could wrestle in college, because they don't. I mean, talk about a stance. That's all we're working on, right? But I know there's a sophomore in the Carrington room that can wrestle in college. She doesn't know that yet. And it's just too big, right? It's too big to think about. But you know, that opportunity is there. But even if they don't, there's so many other things that these girls will learn through the sport and gain that you know, the girls that are watching, bring more in. The parents that are watching, get your friends' daughters in the room too. It's going to be an awesome ride for all of them.
I think we should have some wrestling moms on here for the first time or something. I think it'd be
Absolutely.
An
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
I just think came up with something. I think that'd be great just to hear what they're seeing. Because I tell you what, every time I look up in the stands, those are the ones that get me emotional the most when they see their kids winning for the first time or do anything else. Definitely. So, Joel, any last comments for your ladies or for people out there wrestling?
Just wanted to tell you thanks for what you do. I mean, I've been pretty much following the Dakota Grappler site since day one, and I just think it's always been a positive thing for our state and both our states. And I appreciate you putting the spotlight on the girls wrestling, because I absolutely love it. You hit the nail on the head, but just kind of it revived me as a coach, coaching the girls, just having fun with them, and it's been a fun ride so far, and I'm looking forward to the season. So thank you.
Yes, Joel, great. I'm glad I could get you on.
Thank
Tony.
you.
You know, I'm ready to roll. I mean, I promised Bill I'm going to try and make it to Christmas before I lose my voice. That's my goal. I'm excited to see what the girls do. I'm excited to watch the growth from day one to last day of the state tournament. That's always one of my favorite things, just seeing where you start and just grow throughout the season and where you finish. Taking those lessons and learning and carrying them on, and 10, 15, 20 years down the road, oh, that's what Coach was talking about. That's what he meant by growing.
Yep.
Taking those lessons later on in life.
True. The best, truest statement ever right there. You learn so much looking back.
Yep,
Very true.
absolutely.
Yep, so good. Well, great, guys. Anybody else, guess what? Feel free to email me, dakotagrappler@gmail.com, if you got suggestions for people you want to get on. I will do my best. I contact people. It took some persistence sometimes to get some people on, like the Dan Gables, Nebraska's head coach. You get, but all these guys are usually willing to talk wrestling. They are, so a lot of these guys, you just got to find the schedule that matches. Again, my biggest thing here is go out and promote the sport. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And we will have a great wrestling season. Guys, have a great night. Good night.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, guys.